Wait, let me end.
I was about to say, it's still recording.
Let me end it before I start talking shit. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Janique. How are you? So today I have my girl, Salamata. I will be interviewing her for my little segment tentatively named The Expat Experience. Maybe. Anywho, so go ahead, Salamata, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Salamata. I'm from the Bronx, New York City, and I'm currently teaching in Yosu in South Korea, teaching elementary school English. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited that you're here. So, first question. How did you come to Korea? Like, what was the process? Not the flight, but how, like, the process of you getting here?
Yeah, so so right before I graduated college, it was always like the goal for me to live abroad, ideally work in Korea.
Mhm.
But because of the global pandemic and the fact that I graduated into the global pandemic, that really like threw those plans out the window.
Panini.
Panini.
Panoramic.
So because of the global pandemia, those plans were thrown out the window. So I actually gave up on that plan for a bit. But then my professor, he emailed me to tell me about the program that we're currently doing.
Mhm.
And I never really saw, although I wanted to like live abroad and work abroad in Korea specifically, I never really thought of like the English teaching route just because I was doubtful about being able to teach English to young children, just because like I have teaching experience, but I didn't have like teaching English to young children experience.
Right.
So at first I was like, but I still applied just in case. And then I went through the whole process that we went through. And when I found out that I couldn't do it in August, I was like, I low-key gave up. Like I was like, okay, this is not gonna work out. So yeah, I was honestly just gonna get like a regular job. I was like I was doing something temporarily, but I was in the midst of like actively applying for jobs and different positions and stuff. But I still continued with the process because there was a chance that I could come back in February. So fast forward, they contacted me again and I did like one last interview and I did like, the last minute paperwork, whatever. And the email just showed up in December, like, you can come.
Right.
And I was low-key I was so shook because I never really like held it in high regard. You know what I mean? So, and I love how they were like, you have 2 days to decide if you want to come or
Girl,
not.
2 days to decide, get your visa. I was like, what?
2 days to decide if you wanted to come. And then from that, like after you decide, that's when you would start like the process. And we only had like a month to figure it all out. So I was like, you know what? I was considering that and like a full-time position in something else. But after having conversations with different friends and with my family, I decided to come and said, what the heck, I'm just gonna do it. So that's how I ended up here. It was a really long, doubtful process.
Girl, all the way through, I got deferred. And then when I got deferred, I was still thinking that it wasn't gonna happen. So I was just living my life, doing my thing. And then I got the email and I was like, how y'all just gonna come out of nowhere and then try to get me? Like, y'all can't do that to me. But then so I didn't feel prepared. I felt it was rushed. And then through conversations, everybody was like, girl, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Take your ass on and go do what you need to do. So
yeah, and I was like really like I was trying to be responsible by getting the job because I felt pressure, from my family because of the pandemic. I was a graduate, but I really thank my friends for talking me out of that. Like they literally were like, a job is always going to be waiting for you no matter what. But this opportunity though, this opportunity is not going to always be there. So take it. So they talked me back into like my senses.
Yeah, I went through that as well. I think a lot of us in our intake went through that where we were just like, maybe, when I pushed everything through, I was like, if it happens, it happens. If I get my visa in time, if I get my background check in time, I'll go. If it doesn't, so be it. So a lot of that was just like a hesitant, like push through. It was just like,
Yeah,
I'm here regardless. I'm going through the panini. I done made it through this year. It is.
exactly. So it is what it like at that point it was like it is what it is. Whatever happens, happens. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So why Korea?
Well, I've always had like a interest in Korea ever since like high school
Mhm.
because I used to watch a lot of like Korean dramas and stuff. So when I got to college, I started studying Korean like for my first semester. And then I studied Korean all the way to my last semester of college. I got to study abroad in Korea and really like increase my language skills, and explore different cities and the culture and the history. So for me, it started out as like an academic interest from like a language perspective. But then the more that I came here and experienced the people, the culture, the history, and the growth, like as a person, I really wanted to be like, okay, when I graduate, I want to like expand this experience even more because that was like temporary, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I really wanted to experience living here and working here as like an adult, not as a student.
Right.
So, and I'm so glad that I made that decision because even though I've been here twice before, um, this experience is completely different from
Right.
those two times because I'm living in a different city. Um,
You've
Again, I'm
grown.
working versus, yeah, I've grown a lot. I'm more mature and I'm working versus like studying. So
Right.
I'm just so grateful that I decided to like give it another shot, you know?
Right. Especially for everybody out there, like when we go out, Salamat is the translator. So like if a Korean pops up and they're speaking Korean, we'd be like, Salamat, what he said? Like Salam, I know she gets so tired of us. Salamat would be like,
No, I
I
don't.
can't, y'all leave me alone. But we'd be like, Salamat, what did he say? What did he say? Salamat is the translator. So do you feel you were well prepared before coming to Korea?
No. This time around, no. I definitely do have an advantage because I've been here before and I speak some of the language. So I was prepared in that sense. But living any place during a global pandemic is a new experience for anybody. So even like little like logistical things, figuring out how to get the visa during a pandemia, figuring out how to get like all these documents that we're supposed to get from government offices that are closed and like don't have like
Mhm.
employees in them.
Right.
Like it was just a lot of like I usually don't really get stressed over logistical things like that because I'm like very like optimistic, but that time around it was very stressful. And then traveling here and then you have to deal with quarantining and like and then you're not like the thing is with this program is they keep everything a secret, so you don't know where you're going to be living, you don't know what school you're going to be teaching
Mhm.
in. So that was like really stressful. And I don't necessarily think that I was prepared for it, but I just went along with whatever came at me, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, because yeah, you're right. Because it's the not knowing for me.
Exactly.
It's the
Exactly.
secrecy for, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, where am I gonna
Everything
be
was like
stationed?
classified.
You'll find out on the last day. Okay, but what if I want to? It was very much so FBI, like,
Classified. Yep.
and it's hard to come to a country like Korea because I'm coming from Florida, and Florida is like the wild wild west. Florida is its
Mhm.
own friggin' country within
That's the
United
Bronx
States.
too,
Yeah,
to be
so
honest.
don't nobody want to put on masks, and I'm from the Bronx, so I already know. Yeah, it's two times. Charlemagne
Yeah.
says the crazy people are from the Bronx and Florida, and
And
it's so
Florida.
right. It's like, so coming here, it's like, oh, you strict. Oh, you really mean you about your business over here. And I was serious about it when I was in America, but coming over here, oh no, they don't play. And
Yeah.
quarantine, it was just like a lot, overwhelming to travel 14 hours on a plane, 14 plus the 2 that it took me to get to Detroit. So 16 hours on a plane. And then I come here and we got a quarantine, and Salamata knows what we went through in quarantine. Quarantine.
It was literally prison, Loki. It was prison.
It was so bad. We had to make like group chats, and we had Zoom classes and played games with each other just to keep. all of us
you know.
afloat because we were going crazy in quarantine. So
Mhm.
you're right. To come here and as prepared as you think you are, to come here and deal with everything else that has to go on. And then even aside from getting documents in our own country, in our own language, coming here and getting documents in this
Yeah.
country, getting our identification, our phone set up and all of that.
Mhm. Everything. So like it was a lot. And then like
It's making me
you're doing
itch.
it like in such an independent way. So yeah, it's just really, yeah, it could be because once the program trains you, they're
That's
kind of
it.
like, figure it out.
That's it.
So
Yeah. And you
you're
have
on your own.
and the representative that they choose from your school, it's hit or miss. They can either be
That's
very
true.
attentive or be looking at you like, I got my own shit going on. Bad. So
Exactly.
it's, girl. So what do you wish you knew before you came?
What did I wish that I knew before I came?
Well, for you, it might be a little different because you've been here twice before and you're pretty fluent. She likes to downplay it, but Salma is pretty fluent in Korean. She's up there, so she's way better than
Thank,
me. Not to get that much.
thank you. Yeah, it's hard
감사합니다.
for me to answer that question because this time, genuinely, I tried to have no expectations. And it was hard to have a clear picture because of like the context that we were
Right.
coming here with. Like, I definitely, um, yeah, it's hard for me to say like a specific thing that like, oh, I wish I knew this specifically.
Mhm.
But I think I would have felt a little better knowing how hands off the program is, like how
Yeah.
completely hands off they are. So it's, just maybe thinking more about how do I effectively advocate for myself when you're low key being tried because you're a foreigner, right? Whether it be where you're working at or getting certain things that you need in your everyday life,
Mhm.
or little interactions here and there, because you are looked at in a very specific way as a foreigner. And navigating that, for me personally, navigating that as a student versus as an employee is definitely different. So just being a little like stealing myself a little bit more for having to like advocate for myself in a very different way than like
Right.
before.
Right, because there's degrees to the advocating, right? It's like not only am I so to put it on in perspective, English teachers are like the bottom of the totem pole. It's like English teachers, kids,
Low key, yes.
it's professionals. It's like
Yeah.
English teacher. You know what I mean? Like we are
Yeah.
at like, English teachers, construction workers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Kids.
Yeah.
Like we are
Mm-hmm.
down here. So they look at us a certain way automatically. So it's like, you're fighting for that. And then
Yeah.
you're not one of the more favorable ethnicities. So
Foreigner,
you're
yeah.
fighting in that way as
Even
well
that,
as
yeah.
right as a Black woman, you're
Woman,
fighting.
yeah.
You're a woman in a society where it's like very patriarchal. So is that a word?
Yes, patriarchal.
I'm an English teacher. This is what I do. So it's like it's there's levels to it, and we come in really at like the bottom, right? So there's degrees to how you have to carry yourself and how you have to deal in certain situations. So I knew coming in that it would be like, girl, you better be there for yourself. You better show up for yourself. Like show up for yourself. You ain't no punk. But girl, when I came here, I was just like, damn, like
And
y'all
it's
gonna do
really
me
hard.
like that?
Yeah, it's really hard to show up for yourself when you're confused too. Like, because we get thrown into the situation, and you're trying to find your footing, right? Like you're trying to find, okay, I need to figure out all these things, and then you like get tried on top of that. So it's like, how do I react to that while dealing
Right.
with all these things on my plate?
You
So
just gonna keep trying me? That's what we, yeah, it's girl, child. So what have you learned about yourself while being here?
what have I learned about myself? Okay, this is gonna be really deep. Really deep.
What we do?
But I don't know. I just feel like I thrive because I lived at, after I graduated college, I lived at home with my whole family for the rest of the year.
Mhm.
And I just had to come to the conclusion that I thrive better when I live alone.
Yeah.
Like in terms of my mental health, I just do a lot. I'm doing a lot better now than last year. I feel like last year was full of like insecurity for me in a lot of ways. But not a, like coming here, it made me realize that wow, like when I have space around me and when I have a choice, when I have choices and stuff, like I tend to do better and I tend to thrive better.
Right.
So I just feel lighter. Like moving through the world, I feel a lot lighter. And it made me realize just how stressful living in the States during the global pandemic
Mm.
was. Like it was very, very stressful considering we were dealing with the disease. And then on top of that, we're dealing with what happened in the summer in terms of Black Lives Matter. And then politically, it was a mess. And I know for some people, they were able to go through that without being affected as much. But for me, it felt really personal. Like watching the news was really, really stressful. And then
Right.
you're dealing with that as you're dealing with your personal issues. So coming here, I don't know, I felt lighter. I felt so much better. And that was just me removing myself from the space.
Right.
It was kind of disappointing to learn that about myself, but it is what it is. So I just know that moving forward, okay, these are my triggers. And what can I do about that besides for escaping the country, you know?
Right. Right.
Um,
But I
but
mean,
yeah,
also too, America could very well just not be your place. And that's okay.
maybe.
Because I
And
mean,
that's so, I feel like that's so hard to realize though, because my parents are immigrants and they went through a lot to be able to live in a country like America.
right.
So coming to that conclusion is always like a difficult one because I feel guilty for feeling
Right.
that way or
Hmm.
thinking that way. But it is what it is,
Right. I
you
was
know?
just you hit it right on the head. Like we're first generation. So it's like for us, we look at our parents and they fought to come into the to America and do what they had to do, and they did it the right way, right? But
Mhm.
then you watch your
Yeah.
parents do it the right way, and what came from it? A lot of stress, a lot of work, a lot of work. My parents
Yeah.
are grown people. I don't want to call them old, but they're seasoned. And I'm tired of seeing
Yeah.
my parents work. And I see like the wheel that we're on in America. And sometimes I just can't really
It's
I
hard to not so pessimistic like all the time.
yeah.
It's
Mhm.
especially as a young person because you just see certain things and it doesn't feel like it's getting better.
Right. It's just like a constant,
Cycle,
it's
yeah.
I remember when I said I wanted to come to Korea, and people were like, prime example, I was in the salon and I was giving a man a haircut, this Russian guy. And I was like, yeah, I'm applying to go to Korea to teach. And he's like, why would you go to Korea? They're racist. And I,
You
and I
talked
was like,
about
yeah, I was like,
ironic.
well, I promise, I said, I'll give it to you like this. You're from Russia. You came over to my country. I was born here and you have more rights than me. And he was like, oh,
It's
well.
like when you realize that shit, it's like it
Yeah,
really
it
it's
hit. And
really
then so for me, the mine was the total opposite. So when the panini started, I went on a spiritual journey. Your girl was going through it. I was just like really bossing up in my
Mhm.
head. That's what I thought I was doing, being the best person that I could be. But I think I was doing that in a very comfortable space. So when I came to Korea, granted, I'm in a beautiful place and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. But I've been having conversations with myself that have been very uncomfortable and very real. So, like, my situation is the flip of yours. Like, where you feel better here. I still feel good here, but you know, I still have ties back home and stuff, you know, but
Mhm.
have stuff going on back home, but I'm having conversations, real conversations with myself because I'm by myself. So I have to sit with these thoughts and these questions and things that I thought were what I wanted them to be are not, and paths that I thought I would be taking, I don't necessarily even want to see that path. I don't even want to be on that road in that state or that country. You get what I'm saying? So it's completely, so I'm over here like, you know, so when you said
That was
that, I'm
the
like,
year
yo,
I had last year. That
yeah,
was the
it's
year.
so crazy. But the thing is, I thought like I was really doing it. I was out here just being, you know, in my shit, you know, when the panini
Mhm.
first started, but that's because I had time and space to do that. The space
Mhm.
that I was in fostered that. I'm in a space
Mm.
right now where I'm still going through that, and I have to find a way to do
Mhm.
it in a healthy way and come up out of it sane and on
Yeah.
point. So I'm
Mhm.
maneuvering. I'm still in
Yeah.
school. I'm still a college student. I'm teaching these
Mhm.
kids. I have
Yeah.
so much
You're
I'm
juggling
missing.
a lot.
You know, it's a
Mhm.
lot, and I'm trying to find a way to. And I've taken like a few, I wouldn't even say a few, I wouldn't even say steps back, but some things have transpired that have put a lot of things in perspective. And it's just like, I just got to get back to it. I'm trying to get back to a certain point, and I'm
Mm.
beating my head over it, not realizing that it's not meant for me to get back to that point. I'm supposed to be moving forward. It's just a different image than what I thought it would have been. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
And it's so hard to accept that, like, especially, I mean, for me, I'm such a vision person. Like, I operate with like vision. I'm like, okay, this is the vision that I have for myself. I'm going to move
right,
towards it in this way. And I'm
right.
so controlling that I'm like, I'm going to do it, take this step, this step, this step, and this step. And sometimes life doesn't work that way, and we've
It
all
doesn't.
really learned that last year, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, life doesn't work that way. And although it's a hard pill to swallow, like you gotta swallow it in order to move forward. So I definitely feel that.
Facts. Girl, the struggle is real, but we out here doing it.
We out
You know,
here. We making it work.
facts. So what, let me see. One of your main goals while living in Korea this time.
Hmm. Yeah, I really, as I told you before, I was really doubtful about my ability to teach English to younger children. I didn't really see myself in that role. Again, I've had tutoring, like I tutored for 3 years in college, writing specifically, but that was like peer to peer, very completely different from
Right,
what we
right.
do. And for me, that's why the orientation that we had was so important for me, because it was important in helping me sort of ground myself in that like position, or in that in that position. So like my first and foremost goal is of course to like be the best teacher that I can be.
Mhm.
I never want it to be like a routine thing where I just do it and I don't think about it. I want to
Right.
be present when I teach. I want to have fun. And I want these students exposure to English, to foreigners, to Black people, to be positive. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's like my first and foremost goal. Like just really try to enjoy the work, the main reason that I'm here, which is the work that I do at the school. Um, but beyond that, yeah, I really just want to not run away, because as I said last year, it was like I had to really, like, I felt like quarantine, figuratively and literally,
Mhm.
put me in a room with all of my personal issues, with all of my buried, past tendencies, locked the room and was like, deal with it. So all those things came out, and I, like you're currently doing now, I had to ask myself very difficult questions. I had to acknowledge moments in my past where I sort of buried it and I kind of forgot about it.
Mhm.
So I really want to give myself the space now to deal with it, because now I feel like I have the space and the time to actually
Right.
confront the issues that I have. And I also, in general, like I really just want to give myself space. Like when I was in college, it was really mentally draining, because what happened was I would tie my happiness to how much how much work I was able to produce during that week or during that day. And
Right.
that was really, really mentally draining. And it felt like I was reaching for standards that could never apply to me. And I was driving myself crazy because of that. So I really want to just give myself space to just be, without
Right.
having to be like, oh, what did I produce, or how productive was I today, or did I make these people happy, like
Right.
like get out of that producing mindset and to just be myself, like
Right.
do what I feel like doing. And if something doesn't serve me, sort of distance myself. Like I just don't want to put that kind of pressure on me while I'm here. So yeah, I don't know how to summarize all that because it is a lot and what goes in a lot of directions, but that's sort of like my main goals
Right,
here.
but that's also life. Like, they love to like act like life is like when you're getting it right, it's just like this little thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like in this little package and it just fits. No, the fuck it's not.
Mhm.
This shit is this way, that way, boom, boom. We're dealing with a lot. Shit is coming at us.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
right when you get comfortable, there's no time to be comfortable because something else is coming to push you to grow even more
More.
than you were. So
Mhm.
it's like it's never going to be in like this little package. There's always going to be something going on. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. You're not going to be
Yeah.
sad or depressed or anxious or stressed. It just means there's always something going on. We're adjusting to
Yeah.
something, we're learning. It's always going to be something. So I dig it. I can understand where you're coming from too, because I feel like I have the space to, because when I'm back home, I have Nasir to deal with, and I have a lot of things where it's like it's so easy to say I'm not going to deal with that because I have to deal with this,
Yeah,
So,
it's hard for me to when I'm back home, it's hard for me to prioritize myself because it feels really selfish.
right.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel guilty. So then what happens is I get caught up in that and it's hard for me to actually confront the things that I need to confront. But
Right.
while I'm here, I have a little bit more distance so I can prioritize myself because here, of course, I still worry about things back at home. Like I still low-key get stressed when I see a certain headline or when I have a specific conversation with a family member, but I still feel like I have that space to be a little selfish and like prioritize myself a little bit.
Right. And a lot of times too, like when there's things that we need to address within ourselves, we pick up any excuse in the world to not address it because
Not
it's
do
just
that. Yeah.
easier that way. And it's
Yeah.
it's not uncomfortable. Like who wants to be uncomfortable and go through growth? Nobody
Exactly.
want to do that shit. Shit is
Mhm.
what like who wants to.
And what happens with like living abroad is like you're in that discomfort a lot of the time, like
Yes.
most of the time. So you have no choice. You have
Yeah.
no choice but to face, embarrassing, awkward, nerve-wracking. You have no choice but to face those feelings on a regular basis. So
Facts.
it really forces you out of that cycle of just only dealing with things when they're comfortable.
Facts. True that. All right. So if someone was coming to Korea, must do's and must sees while they're here.
Must do's and must sees. Okay, so for me, I don't know, because I come from a specific culture myself, I feel like it's polite when you're visiting another culture to learn as much as you can about it before you come here. Like I just feel like that's the polite thing to do. That could be specific phrases or maybe looking into some history or looking
Right.
into some customs, some traditions, what is considered polite, what is not considered polite, how do these group of people communicate. Like I just feel like it's polite to just find out as much as you can before you come. Like
Right.
I would do that even if I was doing like a quick vacation thing. Like a quick Google search doesn't hurt you, or even watching a video. So I would definitely do that basic research of what can I find out about where I'm going and about the people that live there. So first
Right.
and foremost, do that. um in terms of like must sees, it depends on what you're interested in. I know a lot of people are interested when they know about Korea, they're more interested in like the dramas, the music. So honestly, they come here a lot for like the K-pop side of it or the drama. So they'll visit like drama sites, they'll go to concerts, they'll go to specific cafes. So that's some people. Other people, like for me, I'm really interested in like history and culture. So of course, like look up the museums that you want to see. Like, for example, because I'm really interested in the history, like Gwangju really fascinates me in terms of like the democratic movement back then. So I would go to Gwangju, go to the museums, go to certain memorials because that's what interests me. So honestly, it depends on like what you're interested. If nature is your thing, definitely go hiking. Definitely like
Beautiful.
Korea is a beautiful city. So if you enjoy water, if you enjoy mountains, if you enjoy nature, definitely going more to the countryside and experiencing that. Um, and definitely don't just, if you have the opportunity to visit outside of Seoul, I definitely
Please
recommend
do.
that.
Yes.
I definitely recommend that. There's nothing wrong with going to Seoul. Like, of course, go enjoy yourself. But if you have the opportunity to visit a city like where I'm at, which is Yosu, Mokpo, where Janique is at, like, definitely take the chance, because I feel like you definitely learn a lot more about Korea and its people when you visit like the rural
Oh, it's
countryside.
beautiful down here. When I
Beautiful.
came here, I was just like, oh my, we were taking that drive coming down to our province. I was just like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, Korea, look at you, all
Yeah.
the mountains. Like it's beautiful. And I teach on the island. So when I'm driving into my island, I can see all the surrounding islands. And I'm just like, yo,
It's
my
perfect.
mind is blown how beautiful Korea is, but they don't show you that because all you see is Seoul in the big
Seoul.
cities. And you
Like,
don't get to see such these rural areas are beautiful. My school, remember I was telling you how the wind around on my island for my school is just be slapping, it'd be cold, like
yeah.
that wind just be not. I
Knocking you
realized
up.
that my school is right in front of a big ass like body of water. And you can see
Mm,
onto another island from behind my school. So this whole time
yeah,
I'm like, why is it so cold at this bus stop? Because the damn school is right there, but it's like you don't see
I
those
feel
things because all you see is like Seoul
mhm.
in the big
Yeah.
city. So
And
yes,
it's like not only
definitely.
like the views, but also like the food is like so good if you like, indulge. And the culture is slightly different here. Like the rural culture is different in any place in the
Yeah.
world. Like
I
rural
like
culture
rural
is
culture down here.
urban. Yeah,
I like
it's
rural.
really
I don't have any problems down here. Like they just they tired of me now. Like at first when they used to see me, they're just like, oh my gosh, this black girl. Now
Mhm.
now it's just like the black girl. Like, they
Yeah.
just don't now they just want
Mhm.
to know what I'm gonna do with my hair.
Yeah.
Now they
I
just
got
want
the
to
same
see
thing.
like what you I
So what
showed
you
up
doing next month?
right. I showed up to school today and my mentor teacher was like, is that your hair? And I was like, no. And she was like, I know. And I'm just like, girl, I done told you too much. Now she knows. She'd be like, that's a wig? Like, she know what's up. I'm like, I done told you.
Yeah.
It's a weave? I
I
done told you too
took
much.
my students from like first, like I told them like this is called braids, and I
Mhm.
showed them a video of somebody braiding someone's hair, and these are extensions. I was like, here it is, the information. So
And
now they like
And
it does help.
it helps so much because it's like instead of chastising them for not knowing, how about you just educate them? It's not that
Exactly.
hard.
And it's good to do that in like a school setting, especially. Like that's what it
But the
is
kids,
for.
because the kids pick up on it and it becomes a part of their life. So as adults, you don't
Exactly.
have
Now
these
they know.
problems. They're not problematic because they know, don't touch my hair unless you ask me. You have
Yeah,
to ask
exactly.
teacher Johnny, can you touch her hair? Can my crystals, when I wear my crystals to school, that's like, they're just like, can I touch it? And I'm like, go ahead. I'm a,
Go ahead.
I'm a sage them when I get home, but you could touch them with your little grubby hand. But it's like, so now they know my kids don't do anything unless they ask me. And I see them asking each other now. It's like, you have to
Good.
ask. And
It's a
it's
great
good.
way to learn. That's how you teach consent. Like people like to
Hello.
treat that topic as like this huge thing, but that's how you teach consent.
Right. And it's not hard. It's not, it's just a simple question. All right. So what is your favorite thing about living in the Korea?
I love Yosu.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. You see my Instagram posts all the
Yeah.
time. Like, I stay talking about how beautiful this city is, and it's like surrounded by water. So that's why I love it so much. Like, I'm the type of person I can't swim for shit, by the
Mhm.
way, but I love huge bodies of water. It just brings like
Omnis.
a lot of peace to me.
Mhm.
So, and like I can see my school's on top of a hill that I have to climb every morning, and I'm always out of breath and my calves burn. But
Right.
the view at the top is always worth it because you can see like the bodies of water, you can see some
Mhm.
islands, you can see boats and stuff. So I absolutely love like the nature that I'm surrounded by, especially as someone who's from New York City, especially as somebody who's
Right,
from the Bronx.
right.
I am so thankful for the nature that I'm surrounded by. So that's first and foremost. I love the food. I love Korean food. So I indulge all the time.
Bussin'. It's bussin'. Korean food is
It's really good. It's really good. And yeah, I just loved rural life. I mean, my first exposure to Korea was Gwangju. So for me, I feel like I have a bias towards like the countryside because that's just my first exposure to Korea. So I just love the lifestyle down here. Like
yeah.
I'm really enjoying like that chill, slow vibe, especially coming from, New York City where
New
everything
York,
is like,
right, right. And that's one thing too, like that's what drew me to our program is that we get placed in the rural area because I didn't want to be in Seoul. I didn't want to be anywhere near Seoul. I don't want, I need cleaner air and I just want to see trees from time to time. Can I see a damn
mm,
tree and maybe a
mm,
body of water and a damn mountain? Even though Seoul does have mountains too. Don't get it twisted. Seoul is still
yeah,
has the
they
mountains and
still has
stuff.
all of these things. It's just that it's
Yeah.
definitely much more pronounced
Right. Down here,
in
it's
the
just beautiful down here. Like stand at my bus stop and I'm looking right at like just this big mountain and the cable cars that go across Mokpo, my city. And I'm
yeah.
just like, it's so beautiful. And back to Gwangju. Gwangju, the museum, the whole complex that they have,
Mhm.
fire. Remember when
Yeah.
that taxi man dropped us off and we didn't know he just dropped us by that bridge and me and you went on
Ah,
that
yeah, yeah.
walk?
When we were
That
trying to
whole
get to
complex is the museum. Fire. We
Oh,
love
okay, okay,
amusement
okay.
parks and stuff.
Mhm.
Fire. We were just at the museum and they had it where like all the like Korean families, it was a nice day. It was like 80 something degrees. And they were
Mhm.
picnicking, laid out. The kids were riding their bikes and their scooters. They had these big swings that you stand up and swing on. It was just like a beautiful, the scenery was just great. And then you could hike through the woods and
Yeah.
stuff. And it was just, it was so beautiful. And I'm like, yo, this is why I came to Korea for stuff like
Mhm.
it's just an amazing experience and I love it.
Exactly. I definitely agree. I'm having so much fun.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's hard
It's
to say that in a pandemia.
right. Oh yeah, to be like, yeah, I'm
I'm
just
having
out
so much
here
fun.
living. But Korea is pretty safe. So as long as you travel and you're safe with it and you're not being trifling, you'll
Yeah.
be
As long
fine.
as you use common sense, like you're good.
Right, because
Are
Koreans
respectful.
and we get alerts. Like one thing about Korea too, they're going to send alerts. Like if
Yeah.
you check in everywhere you go, like some of us you put your phone number down or you can use a QR code on your phone and you check in. So if anybody went somewhere and they came up tested positive, it sends an alert to your phone and lets you know if you were on this bus at this
At
time, if
this
you were
time,
at this time, or if you were here at this time, please go get like
go get
Korea is
that.
on it. They play no games, America.
Mhm.
Anyway, what's your least favorite thing about living in Korea?
Least favorite thing. This is random, but it's just really hard to communicate with back home. Like I'm having trouble with that. Like the time difference. I still do things back home, not only with my family, but my friends. And
Mhm.
also I mentor some kids back home as well. So I'm always trying to navigate the huge amount of time difference and
Right,
trying to figure out what is like the best way to like stay in communication with people back home. Especially for me, I am an out of sight, out of mind person. So I have to be very intentional about keeping in contact with folks and still being there for people to a certain degree. So there are times where I do a great job and there are times when I don't do a great job. So for me, that's just a constant challenge of like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm there for my people, even though I'm like distance away.
right. I think as long as people understand what's going on, then it's fine. Like I'm stinking at keeping in contact as well. The only person I keep in contact with is my parents and Nasir. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'll call my baby every day. But other than
Mm-hmm.
that, I my best friends, I feel so bad. But my best friends also understand like there's life going on. Not only
Yeah.
am I going through life, they are going through life. So they're just
That's
like,
true.
girl,
Absolutely.
hit me up when you can, because I've been doing a horrible job. And it's especially hard when I got to call you at 9 o'clock in my morning and it's 8 o'clock over where you are. You know what I mean? Or, dang, can I sleep until 10 or can I sleep until 1 or 12? No,
Mhm.
because then I'm going to miss you because you're probably, so you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. The time difference is crazy. All right. So if you were to leave Korea tomorrow, one thing that you would want to bring with you back to the Bronx? It could be anything, a food, a place, anything.
Just one thing. Just one thing.
Two Salamata, two, two.
How do I bring all of the food with me? Like I would want to bring the food with me, or at least learn a bit of how to cook it myself. So that skill of like cooking Korean food, that
Right.
would be one thing. And I don't know if you know that mixed coffee. You know the one in the
I don't drink
yellow wrap.
coffee.
Hmm?
I don't drink coffee.
Okay, so there's this mixed coffee. It's the only coffee that I like because I also have a caffeine sensitivity, but it's the only one that I feel like it's sweet enough, but also will give me like a little bit of boost. So I
Oh,
love
put
that
me
stuff.
on to that, girl. Put me on to that. Show me that.
Yeah, should I show you? I can
Hey,
grab
go
it
get it,
from.
girl. Go get it, girl. Go get it. Don't. You got it. While she's gone, brief intermission. While she's gone.
It's this stuff.
Oh, they have that at orientation. They had those in the
Yeah, I
back.
love because it has sugar in it too. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be the bitter, just straight up black coffee. I don't like those,
Oh,
but I like that specifically.
I'm gonna try
I would
that.
reach out.
I'm gonna try because sometimes I need to pick me up. Like last night, I went to bed at like 4. I was up watching Netflix, and I had to be at school early as hell this morning. Missed the bus, had to take a taxi. Long story. I ain't gonna get into that. Okay, so how's dating life in Korea?
Oh, dating life. I feel like it's definitely a lot more difficult because of the panini.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're on the apps. I've never been on the apps. So for me, that's very difficult for me to
Mm-hmm.
navigate. So I came here with the intention to not actively date, like no,
Right.
to not actively look for that. Like I was comfortable in my singleness.
Right.
Um, I've been talking to someone, but I was like coming with the intention of like not even considering that. But there's definitely times where I've been like Korean men have approached me, but it's really hard to distinguish them being genuinely interested in me versus them fetishizing me as like a black hole. Especially when I dress a certain way or when my hair is in a specific way, I have definitely gotten those vibes. So
Mhm.
I've just been very, I don't know why, but this time around I've been very like resist, like the wall is up
Yeah.
basically when it comes to things. Like the two other times I was here, like I feel like I was definitely a lot more laid back with that stuff.
Mhm.
But this time around, I'm just like, I'm not really interested. So I don't even entertain it.
Right.
So it's hard for me to say how the dating life is because I haven't really actively, intentionally dated. I
Right.
feel like somebody with more like, went on dates, are on the apps, go on dates on a regular basis. I feel like they would have a much better
I
answer
got
than I
somebody coming up. I'm gonna ask them.
do.
I'll tell you who it is later. I said I got
Okay.
somebody coming up that fits that description.
Okay, amazing. So they will be able to give you all the tea on that.
Right.
But for
Yeah.
me personally, yeah.
Yeah, it's rough out here for us because it's like you never know. Like we're fetishized a lot here. We're like you hear they're taking pictures, they're staring at you. I was in a taxi one time going to go meet up with the girls, and he was like, "Oh wow, where are you from?" I was like, "America." He's like, "Oh, okay. Can I take a picture of you?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Go ahead, stupid." And he's like, "Hold on, let me call my sons." And he called them.
Like,
This man is driving. And he's like,
I
talk
love
to my,
taxi drivers.
talk to my
They're so
sons.
funny.
Say hello to, what's your name? I said, Jenny. Say hello to Jenny Sensing name. Say hello. How are you? Nice to meet you. Practice your English. And this man is driving down. I'm like,
So funny.
sir, could you not? Like, they do. Or when we were walking that night and the guy was like, hey, boo. No, scratch that.
Oh, that's such a good
When
story.
we went into the establishment and I opened the door and they were like, wow. And it was just like this little, and I was like, sir.
Just a bunch of dudes, and we just walk in, and you mean,
Wow.
wow.
Like, there was a bell on the door. I'm pretty sure people heard me coming in. We didn't need you to add fuel to the, so it's like, and you never know, like, if somebody wants to talk to you because, you know, you get a lot of, if you're walking on the street, a random person might be like, hello. Hello. If there was a group of people and you know it's like, I bet you won't say hi to them. I bet you I will. It's one of those situations. Or it could just very well be, ooh, somebody new. Hi. You never know. And it's like, it's hard to come into it and not be like, what you want from me, you know? So I try to kind of adjust and deal with people here the way I would anywhere. I try to give them the benefit of the doubt and hear them out. But once I start to hear like clicking and stuff, okay, well, get my good side. Because if you're gonna send this picture to your friends, let them see my good side. Stop trying, you know, right? So yeah, it's hard. I don't date out. You know me already, Solomon. You know I ain't dating. Don't talk to me. Hello, no.
And I feel like I had that energy like coming in, but then I had a serious conversation with myself because I have this tendency to shut off my dating life. Like I just would, because I have no problem being single. Like I actually am a lot more comfortable being single. So I have a tendency to just shut down my dating life no matter what is happening externally. And I was doing that again. And I had to sit down and interrogate myself. Like, why are you doing that? Is it for a good reason or is it actually for a very toxic reason? So after that conversation with myself, I decided to put the walls up like a little bit. So yeah, but we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong with seeing. I just think for me, it's like I'm older. I done been places, seen some shit out here in this dating world. I just don't want to go through certain shit again. So it's like, because I know Korea is temporary right now, I just don't feel like getting into anything temporary.
Exactly. That was also one of my main reasons. Right. I didn't want to be in a situation where I had to like leave someone behind or something that I had behind, because I've been through that before and it's really, really difficult. Like,
yeah, it's temporary. So I just don't even, so it being temporary, then piled on with not knowing people's intentions. And then it's just a lot of, I'd rather not, you know, if I'm out and about and something happens, then that's how it was supposed to happen. But me intentionally like going out and seeking it, it's a dub.
That's how I am. And then something found me. So I'm trying to relinquish control and go with the flow. But I definitely
like had to say that I was responsible for that point. Because you know my antennas are always like
on. It's scary. It's kind of scary.
I pick up on the vibes and I zero in on shit. Like, hey, you come here. What you want? You know what I mean? It's like I be so. If y'all get married,
she be seeing shit, y'all. She be seeing things.
If y'all get married,
I'm like oblivious. So
the first child's name needs to be very close to mine, or middle name could very well be my name.
I'm dead.
Just keep that in mind. If he's watching, you're welcome. Alamada is dope. So yeah. So any advice? Any, you know, what do you call it? Like when you're leaving, your last words, anything for the people out there?
Any last words?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Okay, because this is
just said that. Like I did a lot just to say. You know what it is? I've been eating all day. I'm hungry. I've been out all day. It is 6:25.
So can I go eat dinner?
I'm about to go cook, chef this up. So any last words for the people? Any advice for anybody coming to Korea? Anything?
I know it's something that you hear all the time,
Mhm.
but honestly, keep an open mind and go with the flow.
Right.
Especially if you're like me and you're a control freak and you wanna do this all the time. Don't like, of course you're gonna have the moments where those tendencies come back, but decide ultimately to not take those actions, those
Right.
controlling actions. Leave it alone and let life happen as it happens. Of course, don't be irresponsible, but I really had to learn, okay, let me not just say that, but actually intentionally keep an open mind, take things as they come, and catch myself when I am having controlling thoughts and be like, okay, Sala, like chill, take a step back, okay? And decide to not take those specific actions. So really, I really think that comes from being self-aware. So, really strive to be that self-aware and to catch yourself when you're not being open-minded or when you are trying to control things that you have no business controlling. So
Right.
that's my own advice.
Facts, control. We love to have it. And it be fucking
But it's hard to
channel.
maintain that in a new situation like this, in a foreign country where you're dealing with a lot of unknown variables. You're
Right.
just going to stress yourself out for no reason. So
Yeah.
it's just better to just let things happen as they happen.
As they happen. And check your intentions when you're coming to a place like Korea, especially Korea, when you have K-dramas and you have the K-pop. Please check your intentions and don't come over here being no damn Korea boo. The same way you don't want to be fetishized, these people don't want to be fetishized. Don't bring your ass over here thinking that you're going to end up in Descendants of the Sun and realize that you're messing with a Korean Daequan. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely.
I think I snap to that because that's such a good point.
Yeah, check your intentions.
That's what I mean when I say be open-minded. Like, don't come here with your assumptions, with your set perspective. Genuinely interrogate yourself. Be self-aware enough to check your tendencies and your point of view. Because if you do that, like the price is gonna be paid basically. You won't see basically.
Right.
So,
That's true. That you heard it from Salamata. You heard the word. Thanks for coming on my show, Sal. Sal's also my traveling buddy, so me and her always out and about. I mean, no, it's a panini. We don't be out and about, child. She my friend, child. But shout out to Salamata. Thank you for coming on my show, Sal. I really appreciate you, girl. You know you're my girl. My Aquarius girl. So y'all know what to do. If y'all liked it, comment, hit the notification bell. I appreciate y'all for watching. It's tentatively called the Expat Experience. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it that way, but let me know what y'all thought about in the comments. I appreciate y'all for watching. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.